if you're a parent who's feeling confused, frustrated, worried, even maybe out of touch when it comes to your child's potential future career direction and where they might go, then you are not alone. You are not alone, and this will be a really great source for you. I'm Gina Visram, qualified careers coach and consultant, featured on platforms like the BBC and more, and today we are going to reflect on all of this so that you can leave feeling so much more confident and hopeful about the journey that you're on. So let's do this. All right, so let's talk about supporting your teens or 20-somethings at a time where the job market is very competitive and technology and some of the other things which in ways were designed to make our lives better in ways are actually also making their early career journey a little bit more tricky and a little bit more competitive. The world of work has changed dramatically, and what might have worked for you or I doesn't necessarily work anymore. So what do we do? Stay tuned and let's discuss this. I am blessed that as a qualified careers advisor, I get to spend time with people aged between 11 and 18 in a school setting as their head of careers. And I also freelance in university settings. So there I get to speak to and support students and graduates who are 18 plus, but of course into mid-career professionals who are potentially doing masters or PhDs as part of their journey to pivot, to change direction in their career in some way. So I am incredibly fortunate to be around young people frequently. And I hope that this is going to be, well, I intend that this is going to be the first of a lot of content that I am putting out here for you as parents specifically. And also there will be some opportunities to get involved within a community and with ways that you can be working alongside your child as an ally as you progress, as they progress through careers at this time. So I would say that this is the most important place to start. Number one, it's really important to recognize that career paths are not linear anymore, or at least not nearly as much as they used to be. So the idea of sort of job hopping and all of those sorts of things, which were maybe once considered by some to be particularly problematic, like our children, our young people are in a completely different era where there are less barriers to entry for some things. They can be a little bit more experimental. They can try to start a business. They can see whether they can make money from content creation. There are all sorts of things that they can do with a lower barrier to entry. So if your measure of success for your child is purely a linear career route, then kind of you're failing them before they even have a chance to really get started and understand what they want their career to look like. So these days, in 2026 and beyond, please know that changing jobs and having portfolio careers, right? Portfolio careers are where you are doing more than one thing at one time in your professional life, in the way that you can earn a living. Like, these are increasingly common. So in relating that job paths aren't necessarily linear anymore, they are actually more squiggly, then hopefully when you hear your children talk about things like gap years or content creation or drop shipping or any of these sorts of things, sneaker reselling, anything where they are looking at how they can earn, I hope that instead of seeing that as a waste of time and just dismissing it in that way, I hope you can see that actually these days that's a really powerful part of the journey. And any of these sorts of things that they jump into are actually going to build skills and are going to be able to demonstrate to anybody, including potential traditional employers. These things are sort of going to be able to highlight their abilities. So yeah, I would say these days, if there's something that your child is interested in and they want to give it a go, apart from obviously depending on the age of the child and bearing in mind safeguarding and health and safety and all of those things which must take prominence, apart from that, I would say encourage it, because these days that's quite an important part of the careers exploration journey. At the school where I work, actually, careers curiosity is the foundation of everything that we talk about in our formal careers program. And so in life, for your child, it is very much the same. Curiosity is what can lead to clarity and certainty. And in some cases, that might look a little bit more like the career that you expect. And in some cases, it won't. And that is fine, because this world is not the same world that it was when we were coming up. So number 2 actually really sort of relates to number 1, and it's, I took a big exhale because this can be quite tricky as a parent, but it is one which will really benefit children most of all, and also it will benefit you, and that is shifting from fixing to listening. So what does that look like? Well, our young people don't need us as parents. So if I'm thinking with my parent hat on, although my daughter at the time of recording this is 9, nearly 10, so we're not really getting into these kind of conversations yet. But if you can shift from fixing to listening, what that means is you are creating an environment of security, an environment where curiosity can be shared and discussed, and with an energy of curiosity and not judgment. And that is what is going to keep the doors open to communication with your teen or 20-something. So sometimes we might ask, so what's your plan? And it's not that that's a terrible question at all. And actually, some young people are going to be really responsive to that. But if yours isn't, do feel free to ask, what are you learning right now? What has surprised you recently? Right? These sorts of questions can lead to really fruitful discussions. So yeah, questions like, what do you enjoy most right now? What has felt really hard recently? Like that kind of openness is going to lead to this sort of relationship, which means that you can be on side, you can be an ally on this early career journey instead of inadvertently becoming an adversary. Another really lovely question is, where would you like to explore next? And if the answer to that is, I don't know, then between you and through further discussions, and remember, these things aren't all happening at one time. It's not one discussion and then you disappear. But you get to explore a little bit more with them about what they do know, right? And sometimes talking about what they don't like and what they don't enjoy and being part of that conversation can be easier, right? Because you get a sense of what subjects you don't like and what things you don't enjoy doing, sometimes even more than being able to articulate what you do. So that kind of energy and those sorts of questions can be really helpful in this process. So here's another thing to do in supporting your teens and 20-somethings on their early career journey in what may sometimes be a horrific job market is number 3. And that is focusing on skills, not just job titles. Early career journeys are often about learning about ourselves, right? And actually, if you have ever pivoted in your career journey, you might have had a similar experience at that point too. So early career journeys for our children is all about getting to know themselves. And as such, thinking in terms of skills and transferable skills is useful. So, you know, your general skills that we tend to talk about, and those include things like communication and leadership and problem solving and all of those sorts of things which come up again and again and again. And if you've ever been part of an interview process, right? If you have ever interviewed anybody, you'll know what some of those skills are that you look for. And so for teenagers and 20-somethings on their early career journey, it's not necessarily purely about job titles. Often it's about building transferable skills. And then, of course, where possible, also building some technical ones. And that might include things in relation to AI, that might include things in relation to analytical skills. But really, building skills actively is something that you can certainly encourage, and also just to be part of your conversation, right? You can ask your child about what sorts of skills that they have built from, leading a club or society at university, or being in a play, or starting their own business on the side, right? Asking what sorts of skills they might have from having committed to making, birthday cakes for 5 friends in the last year or so. So being part of their journey to reflect on their skills, but also for you to reflect on skills building being one of the most important things, that can be really beneficial in helping you to support them on their journey. And when you think about what your children are up to, if a job is helping them to build skills, a job or opportunity is helping them to build skills and network and do things that they don't typically do, well, that in itself is a win. All right, point 4, and this is really, really important, I would say, and that's to normalize that anxiety and uncertainty can really be a natural part of this early careers journey for them. But here's something that's really, really helpful to know. If you have gotten to this part of the podcast, of the video, and you are really determined to take some of these steps, then actually you become somebody for whom it's a little bit easier to share some of your anxieties and nerves with. Because through doing some of what we're discussing here, you may be becoming less judgmental. You may be really helping them to see that you really want to listen to them and listen without, just sort of providing a solution, but really listening out of curiosity and then contributing in that same vein. So actually you become somebody for whom they can go to if they are nervous or if they are anxious. But yeah, that increased anxiety can be there for a number of reasons. And that's because, one, legitimately, the job market is tougher and more competitive. 2, our kids are from an era of social media and comparison and often just seeing the highlight reels of people's lives, right? So that's another reason which might bring up some of that anxiety. And then not to mention, if they are somebody who is particularly empathetic, if you're really tuned into the human experience, if you're looking at what's happening in the world these days and feeling like, what is this? Like, is this normal? If you were somebody who maybe speaks to your kids about current events and what's going on in the world, and maybe you even have a reference, like a frame of reference of the 90s, which I mean, it wasn't perfect. It wasn't perfect, and there were wars and all the rest of it, but like in ways, man, it felt like a simpler time, and it felt like a time where, there might have been like a little bit more hope, or, 90s, early 2000s. Again, it sort of depends on the context of where you are. But all of that is to say that there were some real things happening, both internally, also in the job market, and also in the world as a whole, which might lead to more nerves and anxiety. So it's a really good thing to mention and acknowledge and, just take into account in any discussions that are being had in relation to careers and career decisions and all of that. Because again, I don't know about you, but like for some students, including some students that I've come across who might be really sort of plugged in, as I said, into sort of humanity and what's important and all of that, like they might even be looking at potential companies, at potential employers and thinking, well, how do you invest? What is your human rights record, right? They might be looking at at governments and parties, if they're interested in getting into, you know, there are so much of the world is less centrist at the time of me recording this video than it was at other times, that if that plays into your child's thoughts about their careers and how they want to earn a living and all of that, then my gosh, please respect it, right? Because there are layers of complexity here that either didn't exist or weren't so obvious, right? In our time, which again is why it's about the listening and not necessarily the fixing, just sort of understanding the context of where we are today. But yeah, feeling uncertain doesn't mean that your child is unmotivated. It might just mean that they care deeply. And typically, that is no bad thing. So in terms of what parents can do this year, in terms of what you can do this year, remember that the most important thing that you can offer isn't all of the answers, all of the solutions. It's actually more creating a space for curiosity and reflection and conversation. That can make a really, really massive difference to the child that you're supporting. Encouragement, curiosity, and belief in your child, now that is going to help to get you a really, really long way. Now, if you have found this video useful, please do subscribe. There will be more of that to come, both in video and audio format. And also what I will say is that in the coming year, I am actively going to have sort of offers and communities and things like that where, you know, we can come together and move through this with a little bit more support, right? With a little bit more support. So if you have enjoyed this, please know that there will continue to be free content like this. That will continue. But also there will be an opportunity for you to pay, for you to invest, for you to be part of a community. And that will be a little bit more hands-on if you think that you and your child would benefit from having a little bit more of me in your world to be able to keep navigating this fairly tricky time. So yes, whether you are going to keep connected through subscribing or whether you want to click here, and actually if there is no button to click at this point, it's because I'm really kind of embracing a spirit of progress and not perfection at the moment. And it might mean that I have shared this video with you before there's like an active page for you to click on in terms of a membership or a program or something like that. So if you know that you're interested and you'd like to know more about how we can work together as a collective to support you, to support your kids, then please do just drop me a DM if you can't see anything to sign up to. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to catching you on another video again soon. Bye. Oh, and as ever, if you have gotten something out of this video, if you were watching it on YouTube, please feel free to comment below on what feels like it has been most impactful for you. I would love to see it. And of course, comments like that mean that other parents like you who would find this useful are more likely to find the video. Okay, all right. See you on another video soon. Bye. Enjoyed this video? Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and make sure that you come back for another video soon.